Hi, this is Kelly from the Quilted Windmill, and welcome to week 2 of Everything Cuddle. And this week, what we're going to be talking about is making a two-sided cuddle quilt. It really doesn't get any simpler than this. It's just two pieces of cuddle fabric, right sides together, and we're going to sew around it and turn it. So I'm going to show you how this is done. And behind me are a couple examples. We've got a cute little one here. And this one is the Paloma Luxe Cuddle on the front with a Cuddle 3 on the back. And think of it as it could be the same fabrics on both sides. And the size I'm making today is a baby one. It finishes out at about 29 by 35, but you could do this any size. This could be most cuddle comes 60 wide. You could do it 60 by 72, which would be 2 yards. That'd be a beautiful one for an adult. So just let your creativity flow on this and think of ideas that you could do. So the first thing is, with the size that I am doing, what we typically do is cut a yard of cuddle, which I said is 60 wide. So then we split it on the fold. So it ends up, the pieces of cuddle that you're dealing with are 30 by 36. It also makes it super economical. You can buy a yard of 2 cuddles and you can make 2 baby shower gifts, right? So it really works nice. I have already done my pinning, and as you can see, I'm going to pull this up so you can see it. I have mentioned in previous videos that I do like the flower head pins. They work really nice. As you can see, I have filled in with some others here because I was doing this at home. And you know what? I ran out of flower head pins. So it works great to do the perpendicular and parallel method. And as you can see, my pieces aren't exactly the same size. I looked at one of them and it was a little bit smaller, maybe the width of the fabric's a little bit less or something. And use your smallest one as your top and lay it on the other one. You can trim up later, okay? I don't like to trim them to try to trim them to exactly the same size. I like to use one, lay it on the top, and as you can see, I've got a little bit of leftover of my brown here. That's fine. I'm gonna be using my seam guide measurement as this top one, on this top one. So if that makes sense, go ahead and do that. So I have done the perpendicular and parallel pinning method. My reasoning behind this is as you're stitching your 1/2 inch seam, because we always use a 1/2 inch seam, as you're stitching the 1/2 inch seam, you're pulling these perpendicular ones, but the parallel ones are staying put because they're out of your seam allowance. And that will allow you to keep the cuddle all in check and it won't be slipping on you. So as I've mentioned before, always use your walking foot when you are stitching on cuddle. So you're going to be putting your walking foot on, moving your stitch length to 3.5, pinning a lot, and then stitching around. I would also like to point out the fact that when you're doing it this method, you need to leave yourself a hole to turn the blanket. I have marked myself a hole over here. I'm going to be leaving this 5 to 6 inch hole right here. And the reason I do it on the long side is cuddle has a one-way stretch. It stretches from selvage to selvage. And I still have a selvage on this one, and you can tell that this was my width and that this stretches. It stretches this way, not this way. So I have found that leaving my hole on the non-stretch side, the way it doesn't stretch, just allows me to finish up that hole neater, and it doesn't get wavy and stretchy on me when I'm finishing the hole up after I've turned it. So that's my reasoning there. If you want to, this one, you can do your corner square, or you can use your favorite cup saucer or cereal bowl and round your corners. You choose which way you want to do it. If you're rounding your corners, I've got a little cup saucer here, and I just lay it on the corner like so. I make sure that this is the piece I'm going by. I make sure that one edge of the circle is here and the other is there. Perfect rotary cutter template, because you can just go right around that saucer. So And if you had a sharp blade, it would work great. But apparently, this has been used too much. So it's not so sharp. But that's how that's done. And that leaves you the perfect edge to stitch around. So the next step, once you've stitched around and left yourself a hole, would be to turn it. So you turn it right side out and lay it out again. It's very important in all steps of working with this blanket that you're laying it out nice and flat on a flat surface. If you're doing a larger one, put it on the floor or a ping pong table, or if you can put two folding tables together, something where you can get it all laid out nice and flat. That's very important. Before I stitch around it, I am again going to pin. And as you can see, I pinned on the Cuddle 3, the lower loft side, and not the luxe. Now, if your sides are both luxe, you're going to be on the luxe. But I have found if I'm combining the two naps, I get along better if I'm actually stitching on the lower nap side. I can see better and keep myself where I want to be a little better. So it's hard to see because we've got a busy print here, but if Elena would come a little closer, she could see I have actually pinned along my edge because I'm going to do an edge stitch along here. And I have also pinned, not quite as frequently, but out here because I'm going to come back in and also do a 3-inch top stitch around it. And you do have to pin again, or it will again slip on you and get some puckers. So that's how I have finished. I'm going to take this one down so that you can see my, excuse me, we'll just do this. I want you to see my top stitching, what I'm talking about. I've edge stitched here and I've come in about 3 inches here. The edge stitching is going to actually finish my hole for me and finish it off real nice. It holds together very nice with that interior top stitch. So that's how I do it. Another method for finishing it, instead of doing the 2 top stitches that I do, would be to come in about 1/2 inch and do a serpentine stitch. If you do that, then you do need to close that hole with some hand stitching. So that's how you make the simple cuddle blanket. I hope that inspires you and gets you thinking of ways that you could make a cuddle blanket. See you soon.